That is one big pile of
I think it's fair to say the State University owns the flagship university right now. As a matter of fact, NDSU is 9-0 against the other Dakota schools in both football and men's basketball, winning by an average of 19 points per contest. What a time to be a Bison. Welcome to the Bison Overtime Show. I'm Grant Hubbard, and no, you're not seeing things. Ethan Eibach, Peter Havelka, they are not here. I'm recording this a day before they do the live show due to the fact that I'm broadcasting the EDC tournament over at the Shack on WDAY+. But I still want to share with you my picks for the Summit League men's and women's brackets. Well, remember one thing, NDSU is the top seed in the men's and the women's brackets, so keep that in mind as we go along. So there's the bracket for the men's side. I'm going to go through game by game. I'll give you brief statements why I think who is going to win. Let's start the playing game there in the upper left-hand corner. Kansas City or Roberts, the 8 and the 9 seeds, or you the 8, Kansas City the 9. I'm going to go Oral Roberts. I'm going to tell you why. Kansas City is the most unserious team in the conference, and Ty Harper is one of the best scorers in the conference. 27, 6, and 2 against Kansas City back on February 28th, and he had 47 points in a game against Denver. That player alone is better than Kansas City. We've seen Kansas City twice from NDSU's perspective, and they got beat both times. I'll just put it as politely as I can. Kansas City is god-awful. At least ORU took NDSU to 2 overtimes before Tay Smith went nuts, and the Bison beat him by 20-something in that other game they played. So give me Oral Roberts to win that game. However, we're picking North Dakota State to beat Oral Roberts. NDSU, again, ORU, they did push NDSU to 2 OTs, but the Bison buried them 86-58 in Tulsa later in the year. And ORU is also last in turnover margin. They give up the ball quite a bit, and with Travion Carson, Damari, Stefanowicz, all those guys also listed to all conference teams or honorable mentions. The Bison are just flat out better than Oral Roberts. ORU, if they get hot, they can give the Bison a game. I just like NDSU to win this game flat out. Number 4 seed South Dakota, number 5 seed Omaha. I'll save my pick. You may have seen it, but I'm just going to hold 1 second. How USD is the 4 seed is unbelievable. I know Dave Richmond won Coach of the Year. Hats off Eric Peterson. The job he did this year at South Dakota. He had 6 healthy players, yet he has a top 4 seed. That's unbelievable is all I got to say about that. But we're picking Omaha. We're picking Omaha. I understand South Dakota won both meetings this year. I still like Omaha. Joe Bay dropped 37 points against NDSU this year. Tony Osborne is one of the most clutch players. If there's a clutch player of the year in the Summit League, I would give that to Tony Osborne. He's the most clutch player in the league. Lance Walls, former Bison player, he's been awesome this year. I think that's just too much for the shorthanded Coyotes. Cameron Fens is a great player for South Dakota. I just like Omaha to win this game, plain and simple. I think Omaha wins this one. And this, again, tournaments in Sioux Falls, I get that. South Dakota has a home floor advantage. I like Omaha to win this game. 2-7 matchup, St. Thomas, South Dakota State. South Dakota State is having one of the most uncharacteristic seasons that I've ever seen out of the Jackrabbits. They're not themselves. They're still 206 or so in the net rankings, which is total BS. They have 1 win over a Dakota school at home, and that was UND. They got swept by the Jacks. They got swept by the Jacks. They swept by the Bison. They were swept by the Coyotes. They just haven't played like themselves all year. And you're telling me they're going to turn it on in front of their crowd, hometown crowd against St. Thomas? No. I don't like playing South Dakota State in Sioux Falls in March. But St. Thomas has been the second best team in the conference all year. They hammered NDSU down at Lee and Penny Anderson Arena in St. Paul. I like St. Thomas. I think St. Thomas is just flat out the better team. Plain and simple, leave it at that. The 3-6 matchup, offense, defense. North Dakota against Denver. That defense, again, we've seen it. We just saw it over the weekend when UND came up here. If you make them play man-to-man, yeah, they're going to turn you over with their trapping defense. They average, 14 turnovers a game. It's how much they forced on NDSU. The problem is they have to play offense too, and that's where they struggle. Eli King, Grayson Ullman, those guys are good players. They're not single-handedly going to be the Denver team that is leading the conference in points per game, and Carson Johnson is the player of the year. I like Denver. I like Denver big. I'm just being honest. Denver, to me, is just the better team. Chip Berkshaw's got that team going. Give me Denver and give me them big. So through one round, that's what I got. I got North Dakota State against Omaha, St. Thomas against Denver. In my mind, regardless of seeding, those are the 4 best teams left on the men's side of things. Semifinal round, North Dakota State against Omaha, the 1 versus the 5. The Bison won both meetings won the first meeting by 2 points at Baxter Arena in Omaha and won by 8 here in Fargo. last month. Paul Jobay is a great player. 37 points he had against North Dakota State. It's the most he had all year. The problem is, for Omaha, that's one guy. The Bison have a collection of guys. It's not just, oh, Tony Osborne can get you. On my side of the NDSU, I could go Stefanowicz, I could go Carson, I could go Wheeler Thomas, I could go Anderson, I could go Noah Federson, I could go Tay Smith if he's hot. He had 28 points. I can go Emil Skuta. He can give me 6 and give me those hard work, dirty points that you need to win a basketball game. Top-ranked D, collection of talent. I think that's enough to get by Omaha, move North Dakota State to the championship game. Number 2, St. Thomas. Number 6, Denver. Get your popcorn ready. This one's going to be fun, boys and girls. The teams split the regular season meetings. Denver won by 2 at Hamilton Gymnasium last month. Denver, to me, it's the immovable force and the object you don't want to mess with. I can't remember the exact slogan, but you get what I mean. Those two teams, they're just so... The offenses, they're the top 2 offenses in the Summit League. I think this just comes down to who has the ball last. It's that kind of game, because it was 82-80 the last time these two teams played. Why did Denver win? They had the ball last. It was one of those kind of games where Carson Johnson just went nuts at the end. I think it's just that simple. I think Denver finds a way to win this game. I really do. I like Denver. Denver's offense with Carson Johnson, Jeremiah Burke, and all those, and the other MSUM Dragons they brought along here from Moorhead. That team is playing some special kind of ball right now, and I'm going with Denver. So moving to the championship game on Sunday, in my eyes, North Dakota State going against Denver. These two teams split the regular season meetings. You saw NDSU go to Hamilton and win. Denver came up to Fargo and won by 7 points at the Shack. They know each other so well, because we saw last year when Bergstrasser and Johnson, that whole crew was at MSUM, they damn near beat the Bison in an exhibition game. It's an exhibition game, who cares? When Division II players go against Division I players, they try their damnedest to win those games, and they almost did. Put it on a stage like this, Carson Johnson, he's going to have his best game of his career. Can NDSU respond? I think they can. I really think they can. It's going to really come down to, can the Bison play defense and can they rebound the basketball? Denver's one of the worst defensive teams in the conference. The Bison were the top rebounding teams in the conference because of Anderson, Federson, Travian Carson. The guy stuffs the stat sheet. So I like North Dakota State to win the Summit League on the men's side. They're the most well-rounded bunch. They have the scoring. They have the defense. They've got the finishing guy at the rim and Markai Strickland. They got the bench help with Federson, Smith, and Skuta. Those 3 guys alone are good enough to win games for you. Denver doesn't, they have pieces. They don't have the Bison kind of pieces. Can Denver score? Heck yeah, they can score. Can they stop you? I don't know. I'm going to pick North Dakota State to win the Summit League. Again, as Ethan has said every week on the show, it looks like they'll be between a 14 and a 13 seed. We'll see how generous the committee is, North Dakota State. But there you have it on the men's side. I got North Dakota State winning on the men's side. Let's transition over to the women's side of things. Again, North Dakota State, top seed, outright champs in the Summit League. Play-in game, I'm going to be really, really simple for you here, people. Omaha and UND. I have no notes on this game other than that first to 50 might win it. They split again in the regular season. Somehow, some way, Omaha owns the tiebreaker on UND. We're just going to pick UND and move on. How does that sound? Let's just move on. UND, North Dakota State. If the Bison put their jerseys on, they win this game. They are just better than North Dakota. They've won both games against UND by a combined 61 points this year. Do I need to say more? I don't think so. They won at the Betty by a ton. They won at the Shack by a ton. Put that together, you're going to get another 30-point blowout in the Summit League quarterfinals. So give me North Dakota State to move on to the semifinals. Intriguing clash of styles here in the 4-5 game. We got St. Thomas against Oral Roberts. ORU just beat St. Thomas by 15 in Tulsa on February 28th. I think their scoring balances out UST. St. Thomas has the size. Alyssa Sand, if Avery Coonan and Brooklyn Meyer didn't exist, she might be the best post player in this league. She is that good. She single-handedly kept St. Thomas in the game against North Dakota State a couple of weeks ago here at the Shack. But I expect Jalea Oglesby and a trustee for Oral Roberts. I think their scoring and their ability to score the ball. They shoot, 50% or so? They did against North Dakota State in the second half up here. If they can do that against the best defensive team in the league, I think they can do that against St. Thomas. So I like Oral Roberts. It's a flip a coin kind of game. I like ORU to move on to the semis and face the Bison. 2-7 game. South Dakota State, Kansas City. I'm going to keep this one short. South Dakota State, they're the best team playing right now on the field. They walloped North Dakota State. They walloped South Dakota. They're playing the best right now, and they beat 53. They beat Kansas City by 53 on their home court, and they're basically playing at Frost 2.0, and they go to the Denny Sanford Premier Center. Yeah, we're gonna pick the Coyotes, pick them big, and let's move on. South Dakota and Denver. This is the 3-6 matchup. South Dakota's the 3, Denver's the 6. South Dakota scores. Angelina Robles, Molly Joyce may be the top duo in the backcourt in the Summit League. Schiller and Frost are right there with North Dakota State, but Robles, Joyce, those two scorers, really, really good players. And Denver's ranked 7th in the conference in points per game allowed. That doesn't work well for me when you're going against 2 top scorers. Give me South Dakota. We have chalk here through 1 round in my predictions here. North Dakota State against Oral Roberts. The Jackrabbits against the Coyotes in the 2-3 matchup. Moving on to the semis, North Dakota State against Oral Roberts. This again, clash of styles, right? ORU's goal, outscore opponents, but that doesn't work when you don't play defense. They've given up 76 and 93 points in North Dakota State this year. If you can't play defense, you just straight up just cannot beat North Dakota State. It's that simple in my mind. When you look at the stats here, when you look at Oral Roberts, yes, they're a really good team. The problem is they give up 75 points a game. That's 8th in the conference. They're also 44% allowed from field goals. That's 7th in the conference. That doesn't work well against the Bison team that I think they're going to be a little hungry off that loss to South Dakota State. They proved against North Dakota. They had a slow start against UND. They ramped up in the second half, and they dominated that game. I think they carry that into the championship game. I'm taking North Dakota State to beat Oral Roberts and advance to the championship game. South Dakota State. These teams also split during the regular season. USD won by 20 at the Coyote Sports Center there in Vermilion. But again, something about South Dakota State in tournament time. That's going to be a great crowd, red and blue. Whole stadium might be filled there in Sioux Falls for this kind of game. But the problem is the Jacks have Brooklyn Meyer. South Dakota doesn't have a player like Brooklyn Meyer on the post. They have some good players, but they're in the backcourt. And Madison Mathewicz, she can cancel out Robles and Joyce by herself. I mean, she kept NDSU at arm's length when the Bison and the Jacks played a couple weeks ago. I like South Dakota State. Give me the Jacks to advance to the title fight. And I would say it's a tight game, but the Jacks find a way to pull it out. So, championship game, North Dakota State, South Dakota State. No surprise here. They met in the Summit League title game a few seasons ago. If the Bison could have shot the ball at all that night, they may have been able to beat them. But this is their opportunity to undo 20-plus years of torment and frustration. They got 2 game hours. They got 40 game minutes to figure it out. And I think they can do it. They're the 2 best teams in the Summit League by a mile. I don't take a ton from the last game that North Dakota State and South Dakota State played. The Bison they just weren't themselves. You could tell from the opening tap. The guys, some of the players were sick. Molly Lenz had a cramp in her leg. Nothing was going right for NDSU, and yet it was still about a 6-point game through the third quarter before the Jacks finally opened it up in the second half. But I believe the Bison are the better team. Call me a homer if you want. The Jacks are playing shorthanded or without two of their better players with injuries for the rest of the season. The Bison have the coach of the year, the 6th one of the year, the newcomer of the year, the player of the year to go along with Molly Lenz, Jossie Schiller, Marissa Frost, who were second-team all-conference selections, and Amelia Hobson, who's shooting the ball as good as anybody in the conference right now. To put this in perspective, the Bison shot 42% from the field in the win they had in Brookings. Just 42%. They shot barely 30% against them the second time around. It doesn't take a big disparity here, folks, for the Bison to win this game. They just have to shoot the way they're capable of. Don't be gun shy. Go guns a-blazing, and you're going to win this basketball game. So give me the Bison to advance to their first ever NCAA tournament. First time since in the Division I era. They were dominant in the mid-90s. They returned to the national stage this year. They are going to the NCAA tournament. And even if they lose, boys and girls, I still think the Bison get into the NCAA tournament. Their resume would be 2 losses to South Dakota State, a loss to Nebraska, and a loss to Gonzaga. All 4 of those losses will be to teams that are going to be in the NCAA tournament. Nebraska is about a 10 seed, give or take, in the projections we've seen. Gonzaga is likely to win the West Coast Conference, and the Jacks, if they win the Summit League, what resume, power conference or not, is better than that? It's hard to find a team that has that kind of resume and would only have 4 losses. Plain and simple. That's what I got on the men's and women's side of things. So I got the Bison winning on the men's and women's side. Call me a homer if you want, but the Bison are the most well-rounded teams in the Summit League, and the best teams, not the best players, usually win in March, and the Bison have the best team right now. So I hope you enjoy Ethan and Peter's content for the rest of the show, as well as their content in Sioux Falls for the Summit League tournament. Also, please watch the EDC tournament WDAY+. You'll still be hearing my voice throughout the weekend. If you don't want to listen to Ethan and Peter, I'm here. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Until then, horns up and go Bison. Ethan, Peter, it's all yours.
Thanks for pre-recording your picks, Grant. We know you got a really busy week ahead of you with EDC calling games, so good luck to you. But for us, we've got a big week ahead of us as well. We're going to be talking through the Summit League tournament. But first, football as always, Peter.
It was a big week for the Bison in Indianapolis this past week at the Combine as Bryce Lance and Cole Payton upped their draft stock big time on Saturday.
Yeah, Bryce Lance especially. He did not participate in the East-West Shrine Bowl. He thought the Combine was going to be where he was going to build his draft stock, and he sure did. He scored a 99 athleticism score, athleticism grade, I should say. He had a 41.5 vertical jump. He ran a 4.34, and I think, Peter, watching Bison football this year, we knew he was fast. We didn't know he was that fast.
I mean, that 75-yard touchdown, I was like, oh, that's like a 4.4 speed.
Yeah.
High 4.4s. But that 4.34 40 time, crazy numbers right now. I mean, he was faster than Jeremiah Love.
Yeah, it's, to compare for Bison fans out there, Christian Watson ran a 4.36, and nobody caught up to him. Bryce Lance just ran a 4.34. That's faster than Christian Watson. And, the knock on him was going to be the speed and getting off the line of scrimmage, and I think he's proven that wrong now. Mm-hmm. And Cole Payton, we knew the Combine was going to be good for him, and he decided to, tread water in the Senior Bowl to up his draft stock, and he sure did that. The vertical jump, he had 40 flat vertical jump. He sized in at 6'3", 232, and ran a 4.56. I thought he had a pretty good day.
I mean, as an NFL coordinator, I mean, there's going to be so many packages available for Cole Payton, just run and kind of do the thing. I mean, you could definitely just fit him in as a wildcat, I guess. I mean, he's just a natural-born athlete.
Yeah, and a report came out about 2 weeks ago that he might be the QB2 of the class, and we know this class is very weak. Yeah. We know Fernando Mendoza's going number 1. We know Ty Simpson's probably in that mix for number 2. Peyton's going to have some competition to get up into the second or third round, but we think those two are going to be day 2 picks. But as we move along here, Dom Izzo came out with an interesting article this week. It was NDSU's schedule prediction. Something around here we've been dying to see is the schedule. So I'll read through what the prediction was, and Peter will give you his insight. So week 0, I guess, he's got Jacksonville State at home. And this one, Peter, he's got almost 100% confirmed.
And I think just through the rumblings and everything and, Dom talking about how it's basically booked right now. They're just waiting to get all the games and all the dates in pack right now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think to build up this hype, they want to make the whole schedule get released all at once with this whole thing. And I think having an FBS game at home as a season opener is huge. So to replace that East Tennessee State FCS game, sounds like it's going to be a Big Sky team, maybe a Cal Poly, UC Davis. And then the conference game is going to be September 12th, apparently, at Air Force is the prediction.
Because the Foo Fighters, I think they'll be occupying the Fargo Dome at that time?
Yep, yeah, it's something like that. The Fargo Dome's occupied that weekend. That's all we know. And then moving on to the third non-conference, he predicts at Sacramento State. This one just makes sense. Sacramento State just moved up. They're looking for games. It just fits well.
You think it's going to be more of like a home-and-home type of situation?
I could see this being a non-conference, not rivalry, but something that happens consistently over the next 10, 15 years. And then you move into the conference schedule. Nevada would be the conference home opener. Jeff Choate does not like the Fargo Dome. He was at Montana State in 18 and 19, came here, lost both times. You move into October 3rd. That's the at Hawaii game. Yep. If you're looking for a vacation, Bison fans, you got it right there. And then, you move into the bye week. You come out of the bye week with a huge game with Wyoming. The Craig Bowl is what we're calling it around here. That's the homecoming game. That game would be packed.
And the good thing about the Hawaii game is you have that bye week added on to it.
Yes.
And so, I mean, you got that extra travel, moving time zones and everything. And then once you kind of get that game over with Hawaii, your team can breathe, relax, and kind of get ready for that rumored homecoming game against Wyoming. And at this point, Ethan, what do you think their record could be at the the midpoint of the season on that bye week again after the Hawaii game?
Yeah, the only game that scares me up to that point in the schedule is Hawaii. Hawaii's going to be good. I've started a little bit to deep dive into their roster and what's coming back. Hawaii's going to be good. Air Force is very good at home. I don't know how good they're going to be. Jacksonville State will be tough. The rest of them I'm not too afraid of, but moving into these next 4 games, something Bison fans are going to have to get used to is there's going to be a non-conference game in the middle of the season. That's just how FBS works. Watch Alabama, watch Georgia. They play a team in the middle of the year. Like, Georgia's going to play Charlotte in the middle of the year. We know that.
It's literally week 13. It's like, oh, we're playing the Citadel.
Yeah,
it's like
we don't like it, but that's going to be an FBS game Bison fans can look forward to. Probably a road game. We hear Louisiana Tech rumors with they're suing Conference USA, I believe. So there's something. Scheduling is an issue for them. The Bison could fill that for them. And Halloween possibly night
that could be
at New Mexico, Jason Eck versus Tim Polasek. The Bison heading to Albuquerque to play New Mexico. This would be a great game.
I mean, it kind of feels like a game where it's nationally televised, not on the CW, not on Fox Sports. No, it feels like a prime time type of slot for NDSU. I mean, it's going to be probably 2 contending teams in the Mountain West, probably at the top of the Mountain West, and it's going to be just a great environment. Halloween. I mean, here it's cold, so not a lot of people go trick-or-treating past probably 7:30, 8 o'clock, so I could fill a lot of primetime spots.
Yeah, and then he predicts bye week after that. So if you play Hawaii on the road, that opens up week 0 for FBS teams. That would give them 2 bye weeks. Coming out of that, they host UTEP. We know UTEP is not good. They should win that game handily.
Yes.
Then the UNLV game, that is the one to circle on your calendar. Vegas, cheap flights. It's a destination. It's Allegiant Stadium. It's everything you want. And this, I have it in my notes here. If things go as we think they could, this could be for the regular season conference title in the Mountain West.
And imagine that. First year in the conference, you're going up for a conference title. And not only that, you're facing a Dan Mullen-led team with Jackson Arnold at the helm, former 5-star recruit that where he originally played at Auburn.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, there'll be some elite quarterback play. UNLV's had a really good recruiting class as I've looked into it. And then the one that makes me nervous, not because of the team, because of the fan base, is Thanksgiving weekend. They play Northern Illinois. Now, Bison fans over the last 15 years have gotten used to not worrying about Thanksgiving weekend because there's a bye week. Well, in 2023, the Bison played Drake. Here in Thanksgiving, there were just over 6,000 fans, I believe. That we can't do that for FBS, and Northern Illinois isn't a quality opponent, but it is an FBS team. That's the only thing that really scares me about this. But Peter, as we move into track and field, what happened this week?
Huge week for the NSU men and women's track and field team. They both won the Summit League indoor track and field titles. Huge honor, and I'm kind of excited to see when they actually get out to a outdoor court how the throwing and the disc, the jab, the shot put, all of that works.
Yeah, definitely a big week for the track program. Moving along, the Summit League Awards got announced, I believe, yesterday. So we'll skim through it a little bit. We'll read who the Bison got on here. So for the men, Travion Carson was first team. The Bison, they were almost a fault to their own success. They weren't going to get more than one guy because the stats just weren't there.
Yeah.
I think we both agree on that. Second team, Damari Wheeler-Thomas. I mean, very deserving, coming back from his injury. And then honorable mention, Andy Stefanowicz. I think all 3 of these guys could have been put in any of those spots, but the fact that they're on here, I think, is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good stepping stone for Andy right now to get that honorable mention, so that he can build some credibility to his name, because next year, Andy's going to be, he's going to be a walking double-double machine. Damari Wheeler-Thomas, second team. I could see him on the first team, but I understand why he was left on that second team. But Travion Carson,
man,
it's like the unspoken things he does for this NDSU team. I mean, taking charges, shooting, not being that primary guy. It's just he does so much. But the 2 St. Thomas players, it'll be interesting. You got Janowski and you got Minnesali. And Ethan and I were actually going to kind of talk about that Carson Johnson, Minnesali kind of player of the year debate.
Yeah.
And my last thing is the honorable mention team. It is full of players that who knows if they'll stick around in the Summit League.
Yeah.
But for now, I mean, they're going to accomplish a lot in this league.
Yeah, and you spoke on Travion Carson. He also was on the all-newcomer team, which is basically the all-conference team because the Summit League is all portal guys now. He also got on the all-defense team, which is a huge honor. And we haven't mentioned yet, Dave Richmond won Coach of the Year for the second time in his career. Back in 2015, he won it for the first time. In-season coaching, I don't know how much coaching he really had to do. It was more of the portal and him building this team from the ground up, because we're forgetting they lost Jakari White. They lost Jackson Money. I mean, this team got gutted in the portal in graduation, and they went out and they got Markai Strickland, Travion Carson. They retained Noah Federson, Damari Wheeler-Thomas. I think this was a no-brainer pick.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer pick, but it's also kind of puzzling to see that he's only won the Coach of the Year honor 2 times. I mean, there's been tons of NDSU teams with Summer League success, but for him to only win that honor 2 times, it's very debatable. But no, he 100% deserves it. I mean, Eric Peterson is probably second, you believe?
Yeah, I think, I mentioned the in-season coaching. I think Eric Peterson had won the in-season coaching award if we had to vote on that. But in total, Dave Richmond, he deserved it. Carson Johnson, you mentioned, he won the Player of the Year and the Newcomer of the Year. We had some issues with this, or you had some issues with this. I go back and forth. He clearly was one of probably a top 2-3 player in the Summit League. And what people overlook? This guy was playing Division II last year, and in all likelihood, he's going to be playing power, whatever you want to say, in college basketball. He's going to be playing big-time basketball next year.
Yeah, and for me, I kind of had a little issue with this because you take Carson Johnson off that Denver team. What do you think? They probably win 4 Summit League games,
yeah,
5 Summit League games.
It's not good.
And you take Minnesota off St. Thomas. I mean, they probably are still top 4 in the conference. But the issue I had is it's the most valuable player. It's not who can score the most, who shoots the most efficient. No, I think it should have gone to Minnesota because averaging 20 points per game, 4.3 rebounds a game, 4.4 assists per game, which is second in the conference behind Andy Stefanowicz. And he averages 1.7 steals per game. So he's an all-around defensive player, screens, ball handler, primary, everything. I just think that Minnesota has more of an impact in the Summit League compared to Carson Johnson. Yeah. But at the other end, I can see why they decided to have him as the Player of the Year.
Yeah, and one thing to mention, especially on the men's side of things, if you're all Summit League, you're probably going to get poached. I don't know how much is going to happen this year. Obviously, Damari Wheeler-Thomas walked on senior day. He is going to be moving on, we think. Noah Federson is likely moving on. I think the one guy to keep an eye on, Andy Stefanowicz, I don't see him leaving. Travion Carson, we don't know. But we're going to enjoy these guys while they're here. I think that's the point.
Yeah, I think it's a huge part of this weekend is understanding, hey, mid-major fans, this is probably one of the last few times you'll be able to see these full 15-guy rosters or women in the women's case. There's so much change that will probably happen in the off season.
Yeah.
But for right now, we're just looking to enjoy the time on Thursday through Sunday.
Yeah, and moving to the women's side, it's a little different. It was a huge day for the women yesterday for awards.
Very.
Avery Coonan was first team all-conference. She won the Player of the Year, not unanimously, unfortunately for Grant. You should have been right if you're watching, but
we should almost give it to him.
Yeah, we probably should, but she also won Defensive Player of the Year. She's just the best player in the conference. It's not even a debate. And
I mean, winning POI and DPOI, I mean, if she's not on the court, I wonder how bad the defense kind of fails on her. I mean, those help assignments, guarding Meyer, guarding Alyssa Sands from St. Thomas. I mean, you and I have both talked about this. The Summit League is very front court dominant with Alyssa Sands, the UST. Oh, who is it? It's I think it's Precious, and then you also have Coonan, and Asp. I'm gonna throw Asp in right there. So it's very front court dominant, but no, very deserving for Avery Coonan.
Yeah, and then second team, the Bison had 2 second team on the women's side, Marissa Frost and Jocelyn Schiller. Jocelyn Schiller completely changed this team. Playing the point guard. It's something that they didn't have before she got here. And Marissa Frost just took her game to another level, shooting the ball. Nobody drives to the hoop with their left hand like Marissa Frost.
I mean, in my segment, we're going to show a couple clips where it's a Avery Coonan screen, but Frost just goes left and does a little scoop layup and it's in. I mean, between the lefties, Frost and Hobson, it's going to be very interesting to see their Summit League performances and how well they actually shoot in the big games.
Yeah, and then the last player that we'll mention on here is on the all-freshman team, Carrington Asp. She's a starter on every other team in this conference, and it's not even a debate. She's probably a top 10 player in this conference, but yet she comes off the bench for NDSU. That's how good this team is. But the last thing we'll mention here for the all-conference, Jory Collins won Coach of the Year, so the Bison won the men and the women Coach of the Year. And much like Dave, Jory didn't. The in-season coaching isn't why he won. We've talked about it on the show. When he picked up this program, it was not what it is now, and he's brought it to a level where now we're talking about them contending for the Summit League title with the Jackrabbits. So now, I just think this was a no-brainer pick.
It seems like it seems like it's finally deserving to finally the award to go to Jory's side. I mean, it's been feeling like we've been waiting a while just to announce like, hey, Jory, it is your time to win Coach of the Year. And no, I'm excited to see kind of the coaching adjustments that they do against, that they perform against with South Dakota State in that championship.
So to recap, folks, with all the Summit League stuff, with the Summit League teams, NDSU had 2 Coach of the Years, their Player of the Year on the women's side for the second time ever, first since, I believe, 2008. The first time they won the Coach of the Year on the women's side, Freshman of the Year, Carrington Asp. And that's the first time that's happened since Elle Evans was here. Now she's playing at Kansas. So,
Yes.
And then they won 2 Sixth Man/Woman of the Year, 2 First-Team All-Conference selections. So they had 10 total All-Conference selections and 6 total awards. Pretty good regular season for Bison Hoops.
I mean, it's kind of awkward because in one of my hot takes, I was like, this is how many people on the Bison are going to be elected for these teams, but I'm still going to count on the hot takes because I made those hot takes Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't know. They kind of like sneak attacked us on when they announced the rosters. But no, I have no gripes on the different. I think NDSU is well represented, and I am very excited. I'm just excited to be at the Summer League tournament and be able to cover these games.
Yeah, so last week was the last week of the regular season. We'll get into the games now. The men, they didn't play well in St. Paul against St. Thomas, which might not be the worst thing. You don't want to have to beat St. Thomas for a third time in that potential championship game. The Bison shot 24% from the three-point line. St. Thomas shot the heck out of the ball, 56.1% from the field, 40% from the three-point line. This is what we talk about St. Thomas. When they get hot. They're impossible to stop.
I mean, it felt like that was one of the biggest crowds NDSU's played in. I mean, 4,700 people to watch a 1-versus-2 matchup in the Summit League. But the one thing I want to kind of clarify is NDSU only made 6 threes. St. Thomas made 14 threes.
Yep.
And the assist numbers for like both teams is pretty remarkable. I mean, NDSU only had 14 assists. St. Thomas had 23 assists. And those could be three-pointers, they could be layups, everything, but at the end of the day, they're still points and they add up at the end. But I mean, you can't shoot 28% from 3 in the first half and expect to kind of compete with the St. Thomas team compared to when the Tommies made 10 threes in the first half and shot dang near close to 50%.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Tommies just shot the ball out of the arena, it seemed.
Yeah, St. Thomas is just, they're such a good shooting team. But what surprised me here is you look at the points in the paint. The Bison got beaten that, and that's something that they had the advantage over against St. Thomas. Now, was Dave Richmond showing all of his cards in this game? Those are the questions we have to ask, because they had the 1 seed locked up. Obviously, you want to win every game, but we're not going to make excuses. They just lost, so we'll move on to.
But I mean, in what word is Carter Berkey shooting 7 out of 9 on 3-pointers?
Yeah, that's
like that makes it's kind of hard to predict that if you're Richmond. But I mean, I think there's antsy to get another look at the St. Thomas unless Denver beats them.
Yeah, we'll get into our picks later. But as we move into the doubleheader on Saturday, this was just an all-time day to be a Bison. We mentioned that track won the Summit League in both men's and women's. Well, the Bison men and women swept UND in the doubleheader. The men, in front of a record-setting crowd, 5,426 fans at the Shack on Saturday, they won 93-66 over UND. Mm-hmm. Not a good start. They couldn't do anything to start. We kind of knew it was going to be like that to start because UND, they pressure the heck out of you. Mm-hmm. Tay Smith, 6 3-pointers, 28 points. Andy Stefanowicz, 5 for 5 from the three-point line. Markai Strickland had 16 points. Damari had 12. This was just the definition of what the Bison have been this year. They've been great from the three-point line. They've been balanced in the paint. It's just everything you could ask for in a rivalry game.
Yeah, and I mean, Andy in that first 7 minutes kind of looked flustered, couldn't find the open guy in the paint and everything. But as soon as he settled down, kind of collected himself, found Strickland under the basket tons of times, kind of worked out. But the one thing I want to touch on is the number one thing I said last week about this game is make UND shoot the basketball.
Yep.
And you make UND shoot the basketball, they shoot 32% from the field in the first half. They shoot 30% from the field in the second half. They shoot 23% from 3 in the first half. And they shoot under 20% from three in the second half, trying to get back into the game.
Yep.
And so that's where, just make them shoot the basketball. That's pretty much all you need to do. And one thing, UND only had one player in double-digit scoring.
Yeah, that's not good.
NDSU had 4. And that just kind of paces the whole game. And it helps that you shoot. It helps that you shoot 69% in the second half in the three-point land. Shooting 9 threes in the second half. It's quite remarkable.
Yeah, and we'll get into our picks later, but this is kind of why none of us are high on UND.
Yeah.
I think their record is deceiving. Okay, they're not. I just don't see them being what were they 10-6 in the conference. I think they had some late games where they came out with a win where they probably shouldn't have. The Bison dominated them twice, plain and simple. I just don't see them having a very good tournament, but.
When you have a 10 assist to 10 turnover ratio, you're not gonna win most games at the Summit, and that's just the Summit. So, I think they just beat up on a lot of the bottom tier Summit League teams to get to that over 500 record.
So, the second game of the doubleheader was the women, where they clinched the outright Summit League title for the first time in program history. They got to cut down the nets in front of UND. Always fun. It wasn't the greatest of games. They were only up 39-38 to start the second half. Mm-hmm. But in the second half, in the end, when they needed to, they pulled away. Avery Coonan, 29 points, 15 rebounds. She's been awesome all year. Another double-double. Mm-hmm. The stats aren't that far apart. The Bison obviously dominated in the paint like they always do. Molly Lenz and Abby Kraswinski have been quietly having really good seasons. They both had 14 points in this game, but overall, the Bison did what they needed to do.
It was those second half runs that really just propelled, just made them kind of get that 1 point lead and just take over the game. Anytime that you score 32 points in a collegiate basketball quarter compared to when UND had only 21 points, and that's an 11-point swing. And then you get to the fourth quarter where you shut everything down because UND is trying to shoot the ball as much as they can. So it's just another one of those things where it's you just take advantage of how UND, both teams can't really shoot the ball. And then one of the funniest parts was just getting out-rebounded. UND had 25 rebounds. North Dakota State had 42 rebounds. Any given day, that's what's going to happen. And the best stat for me is UND had 6 assists. 6 assists and 9 turnovers. So it's just it was kind of a rough watch in that second half, but I'm glad they got it done, and great day to be at the Shack on kind of a cold Saturday.
Yeah, I just ask the fans, next year let's come back and support this team. Let's get 4,000 every game. Mm-hmm. I know it's probably not going to happen, but we'd like to do better. But to recap the week even further, deep diving, Peter Velka, king of the court, it is all yours once we transfer you over there.
Awesome. So, in this first clip, we're going to see Noah Feddersen do a backdoor cut to Andy. We're going to have a little replay to see what this is. So watch Andy head fake up, then he's going to backdoor, and he's going to get that nice and one finish. Now, off the rebound, we're going to see Travion Carson dribble it up, back to Damari. Damari's going to jump stop, give it right to Andy. Then Damari's going to have it. Look at the wide open space in the paint right here. Krafts is forcing him, and the help is late, and Damari finishes with a nice layup. Carson, defensive player, is going to get a steal. Watch this flush from Strickland. Amazing. Now, Carson's going to give a skip pass to Tay Smith. It's going to be a nice little crab dribble to a step back, and he's going to drain that three, one of his 4 in the game. UND is kind of playing their box and one right now, just trying to stop the ball. And he's going to give it right back. He's going to give it to Tay Smith with a dribble handoff and another three-pointer from Tay Smith. Now back to Andy. Feddersen's going to give it right back to Andy. Feddersen's going to kind of screen, but watch Andy find Tay Smith. And look how Strickland is wide open in the paint because they just leave him wide open under the paint. Carson's going to get the rebound right over here. Get it right back to Andy. Now, kids at home watching, look where Andy had his feet set. It's a perfect shot. Strickland's going to get the nice context, finish it, but watch Strickland's vision. No look pass to Travion Anderson for the flush. Now, one of the last few clips of the half, Carson's going to give it right back to Andy. but kind of the Feddersen motion. Feddersen's going to slip the screen, slip out to the top of the key, and drain a huge deep three. Moving on to the women's side. Hughes is going to force up a shot. Frost is going to push it. But watch Hobson kind of set herself up on the wing. And she doesn't make it, but I would love to see that more in the summit. Lenz cleans it up with a tough left-handed finish. Now it's a standard out-of-bounds play for NDSU, but Kunin's going to post up, do a little spin, and she's going to finish through the foul and get an and one layup. I love this bounce pass from Frost. It's a nice bounce pass to Kraswinski for the two-handed finish. Now Kunin's going to go up there, but watch Frost. I would love to see Kunin make more of those passes in the corner during the Summer League tournament, because that's what's going to happen. Now, look at all the space that UND gives Frost for a nice left-handed floater. Now moving on to the next clip. It's going to be I would love to see this more during the tournament, and it is a high screen with Kunin, but Frost kind of hesitates and it allows for that tough finish. And the same thing with Riley Simon and Lenz, where it's a nice pick and pop, and Simon's shown that she can make that all the time. Kraswinski is going to dribble it down. This is kind of way far into the game. But look at this unselfish basketball. Give it to Abby Graham in the corner, unselfish, and no one is wide open. They missed an assignment, and she gets a friendly roll off the top of the key. And that will be our last regular season King of the Court. And I think I've said at the top front, I'm super excited to be able to cover this game and kind of see what Jory works in, because I would love to see more of those pick and pops, more of those setup shooters for either an Abby Graham or a Hobson. But moving along, when I get to the front desk, we are going to go into the last regular season men's basketball standings in the Summit.
Yeah, and first I have to say UND actually did go 10-6, so this graphic's wrong. That's on me. I'm the one who makes them. But NDSU finished the year 14-2. We'll go through these pretty quick. St. Thomas 12-4, UND 10-6, USD, Omaha, and Denver all went 8-8, fittingly. South Dakota State went 7-9 before we move on. South Dakota State having a losing record. That is beautiful.
And the funniest part, Ethan, look at their net rating.
Yeah, it's not going to change. It's the brand.
It's how can you be a 14-17 basketball team and be almost in the 200s as one of the most capable? I would honestly put South Dakota swept them.
Yeah.
And they're not higher than them in the net. But like we've always said in the show, we can't even describe the net.
No. So South Dakota State should easily be in the late 200s, close approaching 300 if USD is 280. But anyway, Oral Roberts, they had a good finish to the regular season.
Yes.
I think a 3-game winning streak heading in, and then Kansas City, very unserious basketball team. They are horrendous.
The code. I can't believe they're 1-15 in the Summit. I mean, to not even get a win against South Dakota's a tough opponent, but to not even get a win against one of the bottom 4 teams in the Summit, it's quite outstanding how far that basketball program has fallen.
Yeah. So we'll transition into the women's standings to kind of end this segment of the year, because this is it for the regular season. NDSU obviously finishes 15-1. South Dakota State 14-2. They're trending upward. USD went 12-4, and then we've done it every show. We draw a huge line right there.
Yep.
ORU and St. Thomas both are 8-8. Both. That's gonna be a fun first round game. We'll get into that, but that's a good game. Denver, Kansas City, UND, Omaha.
And
terrible.
And currently that UND and Omaha game is going on right now.
Yep.
And it looks like UND is kind of fallen into a hole, a double-digit hole right now. And so my bracket's kind of busted for the Summer League Conference if that result stays true.
Yeah, so we'll transition to my favorite topic, the bracketology, like we do every week. So the recent bracketology, NDSU's a 14 seed, fittingly. They would be in St. Louis. They'd be playing Iowa State. Interesting matchup there. Michigan State and Wright State would be the 2-15 matchup. Villanova, TCU, Louisville, and Santa Clara. So kind of some teams we haven't seen in these bracketologies. But yeah, Peter, what do you got on this?
So Iowa State recently lost to Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of exposed some of their flaws. I'd be so down for that game. I mean,
yeah,
it's a battle of the bigs. I would love to see Louisville in that bracket. I mean, Louisville hasn't won a game against a quad 1 opponent. That just screams upset.
Yep.
And Villanova, that'd be super awesome. I'd love to see that program get back to the prestige. And
Yeah.
Michigan State, it would be awesome to see Richmond and Izzo just constantly yelling all over. But that's if they get there. But I could totally see that Iowa State NDSU game going both ways, and you and I both love upsets.
Oh yeah, yes we do. As a Jack Golke Oakland 2024 fan, I love upsets. But moving on to the women's side of things, the women's side we've talked about this that actually this Alabama NDSU should be flipped. Once again, I apologize. It was a long weekend in making graphics. NDSU, I think we both agree they have to win the Summit League to get in at this point because the net rankings, I don't know how they use them, but they're behind South Dakota State now. South Dakota State, according to bracketology, is not in the tournament. So that just tells you that whoever wins is getting in. And I just don't see the Summit League being a two-bid league this year with how down it is.
You would think like, hey, if you're top 50, and if you're top 50 in the net, hey, you like in that case in the men's, you're automatically in basically.
Yeah.
But in the women's, it's like it's just kind of a struggle because like Ethan and I touched on, when you drop that game at home and you're in, I'm just gonna say you're the Summit League, it's kind of hard, and that's why I said like that at large bid is kind of just thrown away right now. There could be a very high chance that there could be like a first 4 team out or first 4 team in.
Yeah.
Because I think it's kind of hard to let that out. But no, if they face Alabama, I could see them winning that. Now the Michigan one is kind of touchy because it's like Michigan's pretty good, and but this NDSU women's team, this is probably the deepest team I could see them go.
Yeah, and if they get to the tournament, you're probably showcasing Avery Coonan for whoever she's gonna be playing for next year. We hate to say it, but that's how mid-major basketball works. Worth noting, they'd be in Fort Worth, so
that'd be that'd be a fun little trip to go out to Texas. But the other thing I want to touch on is that 7 versus 10 matchup, the Tennessee and Virginia. If those teams possibly upset Michigan, I think NDSU could make a Sweet 16 run if they get past Bama.
Yeah.
Because TCU is not that good. They only have Olivia Miles, and they lost a ton from last year's team. So I love how this bracket's set up for NDSU.
Yeah, so that brings us into the big part of the show here. The Summit League tournament's here, guys. It's March. Anything can happen, as we like to say. We're gonna go through every team, men and women, deep dive into their roster, their ceiling, their floor, where we think they could end up. We're gonna kick it off with NDSU, like we always do for these things. Number 1 seed, 14-2 record. I mean, you look through the stats here. They have the highest rebounding margin, which comes down to close games. That can be huge. They're second and third in almost every category you can think of. The one category that is a little alarming, record when trailing at halftime on here, they're 2-6. None of the teams are much better than that on here, but it just seems like they're not down at half very often. But what do you got on the Bison here for the men?
So yes, that 2-6 mark is kind of questionable, but NDSU has shown they can come back. One takeaway is NDSU's won in pretty much every way this year, it feels like. So I think they're battle tested. But yeah, they're just a dominant paint team. It's amazing to watch.
Yeah, they're just so balanced in every way. They have, Grant touched on it in his recording. It's like, if they're off from the 3-point line, they can beat you in the paint. They got 3 posts that can beat you. And that brings us into St. Thomas here, the team that's, talk about shooting, man. They can shoot it. They're tied first for points per game in the Summit League, and they surprisingly don't play awful defense. They're like Denver, but with a defense.
Yep.
They were 15-1 at home this year, 7-6 on the road. That is something to keep an eye on, because when you're in Sioux Falls, it's an away game. They're playing the Jacks right away. Now, I'm not saying the Jacks are going to win, but that's something to keep an eye on here.
I mean, and the one thing I noticed is they're 3-4 in 6-point games.
Yes.
And 1-score games. I mean, like that's unlike NDSU, where NDSU's battle tested, they've kind of climbed. I mean, I focused to that USD game.
The UND game. They pissed down their leg.
I mean, it's like the Denver game. I mean, you lose by 2. I mean, they're not a great, and the worst part about this team is they are not a good rebounding team, and they're not good defensively. I mean, they're good defensively, but they do struggle at times.
Yeah, the one stat that sticks out negatively is that rebounding margin. They're minus 0.5. That's 6th in the conference. Put into perspective there.
Yeah.
So,
but it's also insane that they're 21-1 while leading at halftime.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of hard to beat them at their own game, which is shooting the three, just stopping those second chance points, which kind of struggle for them rebounding. But I mean, steals, they third in steals in the Summit with 7 a game and 3 block shots a game. It's the 1 and 2 seed that's going to dictate how the Summer League tournament goes.
Yeah, it's a team you just don't want to trail by, and that moves us into our the number 3 seed UND. I said it earlier in the show. I think they're the most overrated team in this conference. They 10-6 record, very deceiving. They're like average at everything. I mean, they're 9-8 at home. They're 7-7 on the road. Their record when trailing at half isn't great. Their record when leading at half is 11-4, which they've blown 4 games in that department. The rebounding margin is very alarming, minus 2.6 per game. That's 8th in the conference. It's a team that they just don't impress me at all.
Yeah, and that 10-6 record, I mean, the teams they've lost to kind of overweighs the teams they've won to.
Yeah.
I mean, I think their best win this year is the St. Thomas one. They stopped their home winning streak. But the one positive for UND right now is they're 8-3 in the 1 to 2 score games. So they've shown that they can come back, kind of get you in the butt. Like it's just they can win at alarming rates that we can't comprehend. And the downfalls team is going to be the shooting, though.
Yeah, it's they live and die off turnovers, and if they're going to beat Denver, they're going to need that. So, moving into a team that I don't know how they're the 4th seed. I mean, when we saw them, it was December 31st, I believe, right here at the Shack, and they were not a good team. They were down guys. They had injuries. Grant said to give Eric Peterson credit to get this team to where they are. They're 13-2 and leading at halftime, so it's not a team you want to trail against. Some of the stats here, it's like they're middle of the pack in just about everything. They average 80 points a game. They average to give up 80 a game. It's a team that they play a lot of close games. I mean, when the Bison went to Vermilion, they went to overtime. So it's a team that they're scary, but they're not St. Thomas scary.
And the worst part about this is it's basically a home game there.
Yes.
It's like they're 3-10, but it's basically a home game.
But do we trust Vermilion fans to?
No, we do not. But 4th in 80 points a game. But it's kind of they allow the same amount of points they score. Yeah. So it's like you don't know what you're getting every night with this USD team. But Cameron Fens and Jordan Crawford, they're going to be like that. They're going to be that team that it's just like you don't understand. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a team that got gutted by injuries and got through it, so you got to give them credit. Moving into a team that is pretty scary. Yeah. That's Omaha. Omaha, they won the tournament last year. They actually had it wasn't close at the end, but with St. John's and Rick Pitino, they had a good game down the stretch with St. John's. They almost beat the Bison in Omaha. They came here. They had a really close game. It's a team that shoots. They shoot pretty well. The one stat that's not great, turnover margin. They turn the ball over quite a bit. They're 5-10 on the road, 10-4 at home. Kind of a weird team to figure out, but it's a team that could do some damage.
I mean, on my notes right here, it's like could play upset.
Yes.
I mean, you don't know what you're getting with Paul Dejobe, but every night he's putting up 25-plus points a game. You just don't know. And like Grant said earlier on, it's a one-man wrecking crew.
Yep.
You stop him, the game plan is pretty wide open for you to attack. 46% from the field, that's pretty good. That's really good. But, I mean, first Summer League All-Team, Paul Dejobe is going to be super alarming. And who knows if he has 1-year eligibility, he's probably out.
Yeah, eligibility is a whole nother topic. It's just a mess in college sports. Moving into the team that I think is the most dangerous team in this entire tournament, that's Denver. Denver is first. They're tied first for points per game. They don't play defense, but they shoot the heck out of the ball a lot like they're St. Thomas without defense. I'll put it that way. Carson Johnson, we mentioned, he won Player of the Year in the Summit League. This team went 9-5 at home, 6-11 on the road. It's a team that is very beatable, but you don't want to play them unless it's in that championship game, which is it's very fortunate on Saturday when the bracket came out and we saw Denver with the results. They're the 6th seed.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy because I think this is the 3rd best team in the conference.
On my notes, I have Denver as kind of like the contenders in the Summer League.
Yep.
Because they're, even though they lost Oral Roberts, they are hot shooting the ball right now.
Yes.
I mean, Carson Johnson, Player of the Year in the back right there, 20 points a game. But I think they're going to make some damage in this game.
Yeah, it's a team that like I said, I'm just so glad that NDSU doesn't have to face them till potentially the finals. A team that is not scary this year when they usually are, the South Dakota State Jackrabbits.
Yep.
If they don't win this tournament and they don't win a NCAA tournament game, they're gonna have their first losing record, and I believe I think I heard over 20 years or something. I don't know what it was, but they're just not special at really anything right now. They play decent defense. They're not great from the 3-point line. They're not great in scoring in general. They're not even that good at home, and they're usually really good in Brookings. They're 8-6. They're 2-12 and trailing at halftime. I just don't see this team going far. And the one thing I will say though is you go back to 2019, South Dakota State. They're the most dominant team. They're all-time team. They lose to Western Illinois as the number 8 seed. So you can't count anybody out. But I just don't. I'm not high on this team. They got gutted in the portal each of the last 2 years. Coaching turnover. It's just not a good team.
I mean, it's funny because you say that because their defense is so good. I mean, with opponents' field goal percentage per game, it's 43%. And the rebounding, they're the best rebounding team in the Summit.
Yeah.
But I've never had a team that has so much positive stats for them turn out with this record, a 14-17 overall record.
Yeah. I
mean, we can just sit back and be they are going to be a tough team.
Yep.
Playing in, like Grant said, Frost 2.0.
Yeah.
It's so there's going to be a lot of blue, but that 7th seed, it's you're basically done. I mean, but when you guys watch that St. Thomas SDSU game, it is going to be fireworks. I mean, because we all thought that South Dakota State would be a top 4 team.
But they always are.
But it's going to be a fun watch.
Yeah, their defense is going to have to carry them a long ways, and that's a lot to ask against St. Thomas. But moving on to the number 8 team, a team that I was not high on until about a week ago. They're on a 3-game winning streak heading into the tournament. The Bison, if assuming these guys take care of Kansas City, this is a team that could give the Bison some trouble. We saw them at the Shack. The Bison could not rebound anything. Won the game on a Noah Federson put back to win the game. It was, what was it, 78-76 or something? I don't know. They won by 2.
Crazy.
Yeah, and and you look at the stats, they're not good at really anything. They're first in block shots per game, so they do that well. The rest of it, they're 8th, 7th. You look at the graphic.
Yeah.
They have a 1-13 away record. That's pitiful. Yeah, that's what does it for me. This tournament is basically an away game. It is. You're not at your home stadium. I just don't see this. I could see them giving the Bison trouble for a half, but
I mean, because it's gonna be, they're gonna beat the crap out of Kansas City.
Yeah.
But if Ty Harper doesn't explode for 47 like he did against Denver, and they score 100 and they actually get past the century mark, I don't think it's a game. I mean, because you contain Ty Harper, you basically shut that hole off. You basically shut everything down.
Yeah, and moving along to, I don't know if we want to even call it a basketball team.
Okay. The Kansas City Yankees.
Yeah, the uniforms are bad. The team is bad. Not a lot is good about the team.
I mean, okay, you got 9, 6, 6, 3. I mean, there's nothing positive going for them. You're a 3-11 at home.
Yep.
I don't think people understand this. You're 3-4 when leading at halftime. How do you have 7 first half leads and you blow 4 of them? And then I think my favorite stat is the away record is 1-15, and the record when trailing at halftime is 1-22.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no positives.
Yeah, they play tonight. They play Oral Roberts. We both suspect they're gonna lose.
Yep.
It's a 5.5-hour drive from Kansas City to Sioux Falls. I say you don't even book a hotel. I say you just go right back home. This is a bad basketball team. That's all we got from the men's side. So, yeah, the men's starts tonight, but the actual tournament starts tomorrow. We'll be there. Deep diving down to the women's side. You move along to the Bison. They went 15-1.
This is pretty self-explanatory. I mean,
yeah,
I feels like we've hammered down what NDSU is good at.
Yep.
But right now, I'm kind of curious to see how they'll play in the first half because as we've seen the last few weeks, it's been slow starts.
Yes.
It's been very slow starts for the women, and so it's gonna be interesting. But once again, it's either Omaha or UND that first game. But I kind of just want to see how they get adjusted to a kind of a bigger space and a nice arena. And teams play different when stakes are high. I mean, NDSU has all the cards right now. They're playing on.
Yeah, and I think the one question I have is, like how healthy is Jocelyn Schiller?
Yes.
Because she didn't play against UND. It kind of sounds like she could have if she absolutely needed to. And I'm sure she wanted to play her former team, but yeah, she didn't play. It sounds like she's going to be good to go for Thursday, tomorrow. So I don't think there's much to worry about there. Moving along to the Jackrabbits, this might be the best team going right now. I mean, I hate to say it, they've been red hot ever since they lost in Vermilion to South Dakota. They got killed, and then they come into Fargo, they win. They host USD, they win. They've been dominant since then, and I see it continuing. This is a good team.
I mean, like we touched about it on the standings. In my notes, I only have three. I only have three contenders that can win the Summit. It's NDSU, SDSU, and the team below them, USD. The thing that's scary, like Ethan touched on, is hottest team in the Summit right now.
Yep.
They just beat NDSU and USD back-to-back by an average of 24 points, which means it's just they have shut teams down in February. You do not want to play the Jacks in Sioux Falls at this time of the year. And this is the most scariest aspect because you just don't understand what you know what you're getting from the Jacks, but with the Bison, they've struggled at times in the Summit. And so it'll be very compelling and interesting to see how they appear in that first half.
And adding on to the whole like home court advantage thing, if the men go one and done and the women are the only team left, all the fans are going to be there. They're going to be there on Sunday if the Bison and the Jacks are playing, if the Jacks are there regardless. So, they have 11-2 home record. It's going to be interesting to see how they play. But moving on to the Coyotes. Interesting team. They beat the Jackrabbits for the first time in a while. They couldn't beat NDSU. They have a really good defense. They're number one in points per game allowed, field goal percentage on opponents, 3-point percentage for opponents. That's where the Bison took advantage of them, actually, as they shot the heck out of the ball in the second half against them. But this is a team that could knock somebody off. I mean, you got newcomer of the year in Molly Joyce. And like I've touched on, that backcourt is crazy. That is their bread and butter. I mean, you have Robles and you have Molly Joyce just controlling the momentum of the game and the outcome of the game. And it's a good, strong rebounding team. And they hold teams to under their shooting averages besides NDSU and SDSU. But the one thing I would say, they have a similar case to UND. They just like to beat up what's the bottom of the Summit. Yep. That's pretty much all it is for the USD right now. Yeah, and that kind of ties back into the fact that we think this is going to be a one-bid league. It's like the top teams are good, but the bottom teams are so bad that it doesn't matter. Moving to the 4 seed, Oral Roberts. They've had a weird year. They came to Fargo. They put up a lot of points. I'm not even going to get into the reffing crew that day. It was not good. Rebounding margin is a spot where they are not good. It's kind of interesting because they allow a lot of points per game compared to the rest of the conference, but they get a lot of steals. So that's what I mean. Weird is kind of the word I have for this team. What do you got on Oral Roberts? So I have two teams that look to play spoiler in this tournament. Yeah. Oral Roberts and St. Thomas. Yeah. Anna Trusty is going to be huge in this tournament. If she has a really good tournament, I suspect that she's going to make all tournament team. Yep. They hold. They can score the ball like no other team in the Summit. But it's just they struggle to defend. It's kind of like the Denver effect, kind of in that sense of mind. They're first in steals, and they create those extra possessions. And when they shoot the ball, they like to move and shoot the ball. And that's what I would take away from this standpoint. Now, going on to St. Thomas, this 4 versus 5 game is huge. It's probably it's going to be the best team. It's going to be the best matchup in the quarterfinals. Yeah. I mean, they hold teams to 63 points per game. And I think that's more impressive to the teams that they've done it to. Yeah. NDSU, SDSU, USD, I mean, their defense really shows it. They barely turn the ball over. They're top 5 in turnovers forced. And like I said, Alyssa Sand is the 3rd best big in this conference. Yeah, she's good. She is going to determine if she can take advantage of the USD backcourt. Yeah, St. Thomas might be the one team that can match up with NDSU in size, not skill, but yeah, it's going to be fun to see what that quarterfinal game is. And, these last 3 teams that we're going to get into, it's not good. We're not going to spend a lot of time on them. Denver, they got to play the Yotes. They're not a big team. It's just not going to go well. You got Corin Watts. Yeah, and that's it. That's pretty much it. If you look around that team, if Corin Watts has a really good showing, I bet you that it'll be a game against the Yotes. But other than that, it's just that. And then it's Kansas City. We got to give them some flowers, but they're just kind of the middle of the pack and everything. Would you agree, Ethan? Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of funding going on down there. There's no NIL for sure. There's no football at your school, which not a lot of interest. It's not. We could dig deeper into that, but we're not going to.
Yeah.
UND, who's playing right now, we don't know the score actually, but UND is they're not good.
No,
they're bad.
It's kind of like the 8 versus 9. Just come and play, see how it goes, and then because the one positive I'll take for the 7th seed to the 9th seed is they got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
It's basically show your talents and make sure that hey, we'll see what happens in the 7 versus 9. But no, it's gonna be interesting to see I'm more excited for the semifinals than the men's semifinals for the women because
Yes.
it will be I think it's gonna be a lot of red. It's gonna be a lot of gold. I think it's gonna be a lot of blue. So I am super pumped for the semifinals.
And we'll spend about 5 seconds on Omaha. This team isn't good. If they win, they'll get killed by NDSU. Let's just move on to our picks. This is the playing game shouldn't happen. Let's just leave a team out. This is our favorite thing, bracketology picks. Here we go. So for Oral Roberts, Kansas City, this isn't going to be a good game. I think Oral Roberts kind of kills them. I don't see Kansas City being a very competitive team this year. NDSU Oral Roberts, like I mentioned, Oral Roberts came in here and put up a good fight. Dave Richmond's going to have this team locked and loaded after 2 first-round exits in a row. Give me Oral Roberts. NDSU. Whoa. Sorry. Omaha, USD. USD, I think, is running on fumes right now. I just do. I think Omaha is just the better team. USD might be the better coach team, but you know what? Give me Omaha. SDSU St. Thomas. It's a home game for the Jackrabbits, but St. Thomas is just a better team. They're a better shooting team. Just give me St. Thomas. That's all I got on that. And then moving along to Denver and UND. I think this is the easiest game to pick out of all of them, and it's a 3-6 game. And I'm not going with the 3 seed. I'm going with Denver. I just think Denver is one of the best teams, top 3 team in this conference. This sets up some really fun semifinals. NDSU and Omaha. Grant said it before. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. But I think the Bison are going to do it and get to the championship game for the first time since they got clobbered by Oral Roberts with Grant Nelson. We won't get into that. Denver and St. Thomas. This is the game everyone wants to see. The best offenses in the conference. St. Thomas plays a little bit better defense. You have the top 2 in Player of the Year voting. So, as much as it pains me to say it, I think St. Thomas is going to win. I want Denver to win because I want the Bison to get another shot at them, but I see St. Thomas winning. Championship game, the Bison are probably the most complete team in this conference. There's just something about St. Thomas shooting right now, and I hate to do it. I'm picking the Tommies. I got St. Thomas going to their first NCAA tournament in their history. Those are my men's picks. Yeah, giving me heartburn.
Oh, that hurts. Now, moving on to my Summer League picks. The first matchup, that 8-9 matchup, I'm going with Oral Roberts. I mean, Kansas City is a dumpster fire right now.
They're not
and
good.
Ty Harper's on a heater right now, which could cause problems for NDSU, but you stick the Defensive Player of the Year and Trayvon Carson on Ty Harper. It's wraps.
Yeah.
I have them advancing to the semifinals. Now in the 4 versus 5 matchup, interesting fact, Omaha is 0-2 versus South Dakota this year. They lost by 17 over a million 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
It's in the home state of the Yotes, but their fans don't travel that well. And South Dakota's on a 2-game winning streak with wins both at home against Omaha and South Dakota State.
Yep.
So they're going in with a few momentum and this nice little break. Maybe they can get a few guys healthy for the tournament. And I have them winning over Paul Dejobe and Omaha. Moving on. I think that Blue Nation and the Jacks will kind of cause some disruption.
Yeah.
And I think that it'll get flustered in that first half. But SDSU falls off a cliff in the second half, as we've seen.
Yep.
They just lose momentum, they lose steam. So I have St. Thomas advancing to the semifinals. You guys know my pick on this one. Denver, like I said, they are contenders. I know they lost to Oral Roberts, but I think that was just a fluke.
Yeah. Bert Strasser got tossed. It was just a weird game.
It was just weird. But no, UND is going to be, I think UND is going to struggle. I think it's going to be an offensive fest from Denver. And I think Carson Johnson's going to take over this game.
Yep.
I have Denver winning. Now let's run for forward matchup. And the best part about this 3 versus 6 matchup, UND is 1-1 against Denver. but with winning at 7 in Hamilton Gymnasium, but losing to dang near 20 in Grand Forks,
Yeah.
in which they allowed 96 points. So if they shoot the ball like they did against that meeting, wraps. Going into the semifinals, I have NDSU winning over the Yotes. They've proven time and time again that they've won these games, and they've been close, they've been bad, but I think they'll just outpace, out-rebound them, and kind of just run down the court in transition and just beat them all game. Grant kind of is with me with this pick, but it's Carson Johnson versus Nolan Minnesota. The kind of like the debate for the player of the year. So we're going to see who wins the player, who we actually think is the player of the year. Give me Denver. Give me Denver to win this game. And I think Denver kind of cruises. I think it's 83 to a nice like 70 points from St. Thomas.
Yeah.
Somehow they get stops, but no, I think the 3-point shooting from Denver just makes St. Thomas kind of get into that 1 to 2 score games. But no, I think they'll take it over. And I have NDSU winning against Denver. And I think it'll be a very complete game, but I think Travion Carson wants to get back around with Carson Johnson. I think they will stop them.
All right, so yeah, those are our men's picks. I had St. Thomas, you and Grant both had NDSU. Yep. Getting into the women's picks now. So the Omaha UND game is going on right now. We submitted these picks before that. I don't even know what the score is right now, but Omaha was up last time we checked. I had UND winning. That's just me. UND they looked better overall as a team. NDSU is going to win again. I don't care if they play them a third time. It's going to happen. Oral Roberts, St. Thomas, this is the one quarterfinal game to keep an eye on, folks. Oral Roberts, St. Thomas could go either way. St. Thomas has the size on him. Oral Roberts probably has the speed. I think that's a good way to put it. I'm going to take St. Thomas. I think they're legit. I think that's a pretty good basketball team. They almost beat the Bison in the Shack. Then moving on to that next game, South Dakota State and Kansas City. South Dakota State by a million. That's the game that'll be before the game that we're at. It's a home game. South Dakota State's going to win that one. And Denver USD likes to trip over themselves a little bit sometimes, but I just trust them in this kind of game. Denver is the worst rebounding team on the women's side of the Summit League. I got USD, kind of a chalky tournament here. I don't see too many upsets happening. The semifinal games, though, these are going to be interesting because these are two games that could result in upsets, or they could result in the 1 and 2 game teams matching up. The Bison, St. Thomas gave them all they could handle here at the Shack about 3 weeks ago or something like that. I think Avery Coonan will take over. She'll win this game. The Bison advance to the championship for the second time in 3 years. And then this will be an absolute packed game in Sioux Falls at the Premier Center.
Cool.
South Dakota State, South Dakota. Probably about 80% Jackrabbit fans, but that's just how it goes. I hope South Dakota shows up, but their fans don't like to. So South Dakota State's just on a tear right now. I think they cruise to the title game. And it sets up my trip to the NCAA tournament on the line, probably the biggest game in women's history here at NDSU, and that includes the D2 days because this is Division I now. I want to pick the Bison, I do, but South Dakota State has been on an absolute tear right now. They've been the best team in the conference over the last month, ever since they lost in Vermilion, and I got the Jackrabbits, unfortunately, winning the tournament.
So
now moving to your picks.
It's just Debbie Downer over here.
Yeah, I guess.
In the 8-9 matchup, we just got confirmation from our producer that Omaha is up 9, 43 to 34, up on UND. But I have the Hawks. I actually have the Hawks coming back and winning in this game, and that's going to be an easy matchup. Yikes. All right, so Omaha, just got confirmation that Omaha just beat the Fighting Hawks, and both teams failed to score over 50 points.
Hey, what did I say before the show? 45-40 could be?
That was interesting. Now, I have NDSU just kicking the Hawks' butt. I have them winning. And then this game is very interesting for me. It's that 4-5 matchup. Oral Roberts is 1-1 against St. Thomas. They won their last game against ORU by 15, 67-52. I think St. Thomas will win the game just because the defense and the shooting may be rough in the first game, which gives way to Alyssa Sand to just take over that game. Jacks, I'm not even going to do it. I got the Jacks winning this one. And then I got the Yotes winning against Denver. You stop Corin Watts. That game is over. Now, round 3 for NDSU and St. Thomas, I think that I have a gut feeling that NDSU will kind of finally beat the Tommies by 10 in this game.
Yeah.
I have NDSU winning this one. And then the game.
The game.
Even though the Yotes lost by 33 to South Dakota State, I still think it's going to be a game. I mean, championship game on the line, but I have the Jacks making it. And then I think this NDSU team is just chomping at the bit to finally beat this Jacks team and go 2-1 against them in the series. Give me the NDSU and give me Avery Coonan, MVP of the Summer League tournament.
I like it. I hope you're right. I unfortunately don't think it'll happen. But anyway, hot takes is going to be our last segment for today. We had a lot of hot takes that got crossed off from the last couple months here. So kicking it off, the incorrect takes. Grant on January 15th, he said both the men and women will have two first-team All-Summit League members. Grant, you should have been right, but he technically was wrong. This next one, this is going to have to go to the courts to decide if he's right or wrong, because technically he was wrong, but he probably should have been right. Avery Coonan wins the Summit League Player of the Year unanimously. Said this 2 weeks ago. As of right now, we're counting it as a right, I guess. On February 26th, I said NDSU gets 8,500 plus in the UND doubleheader combined. This one's painful because we were 170 short. Our producers in the back said that there was 100% more than the amount of people that were reported. So we'll have to decide here. If we're counting Grants, we're counting mine. That's what I say. Anyway, another one that was wrong technically is that the men and women would sweep UND by a combined 65. That did not happen. Mm-hmm. Now to the happy stuff, the correct takes. Grant on the 19th, he said St. Thomas versus SDSU will be a first-round matchup. Good job, Grant. You got that one right. He also got Noah Federson winning Summit League 6th Man of the Year and Carson Johnson winning Player of the Year. He nailed those. He almost got 100% on that week of picks, by the way. But going to me for the January 21st, I said this NDSU women will win 15 or more conference games. They won exactly 15. Got that right. February 5th, I said NDSU will win at least 5 of their last 7 games. They did just that. And then, Peter, one of your hot takes is already right. We'll get to your hot takes in a second here. But before we do, Grant, you're 34% on hot takes. Your percentage is going up, and that's before the adjustment, so it might be even higher.
So Grant, it's gonna go up. It's gonna keep going up, hopefully.
Yeah.
Now,
take it away.
Going into my hot takes, we can already scratch this one off. NDSU men's basketball, women's basketball will combine for 6+ All-Summit members. We can already cross that off. Kind of went over that in the first 15 minutes of our show.
Yeah.
Stefanowicz will have a double-double in the Summit League tournament. This is very well possible. I mean, the way they're shooting the ball right now, definitely see it happening. Carson will finish the season with the most steals in points and steals per game in NDSU history. He is already first, but I think he's gonna raise that to 2 steals a game after the tournament. Mm-hmm. It's bold. And it's going to be this weekend on Sunday.
Yep.
At least one of NDSU's basketball teams reaches the big dance.
Yep.
And my last take, I've touched on how the women kind of struggle to shoot the 3. Mm-hmm. NDSU women's basketball will have a combined 18 3-pointers made in the Summer League tournament, 18 plus. So that means 6 a game, which it's kind of been a struggle bus. But, I mean, I could definitely see it happening because, I mean, we're going to touch on it right now. I mean, they had 6 3-pointers against UND, and so, I mean, I could definitely see this happening. And guess what, Ethan? They're going to need shooting to win the Summer League title. So that is my hot takes for March of the 4th. Yeah, you
got pretty lucky with the first one, the fact that these came out at the time that they did. I wish they would announce when they're going to announce when they're coming out, because then we could know. But I think the March Madness one, I would be. I know I picked against NDSU, but I think at least one of them should make it. And you nailed it, the 3-pointers thing. If they're going to beat the Jacks, the shooting needs to turn on. It just does. That's just how it is if you want to beat the Jacks, and it didn't happen at the Shack.
And it feels like with that Jacks game, you couldn't really dominate any aspect of the game, but to beat this Jacks team, you're going to need a lot more than to just dominate the paint.
Yeah. So As we touched on it last week and this week. We will be in Sioux Falls. We're actually heading down tomorrow morning. Peter will join us on Saturday. You got a midterm to take care of.
Thanks for the midterm, but I'll be back Saturday morning when we kind of film that pregame.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be there tomorrow covering the games. Friday will be the day off because if you're the one seed, you get the day off.
Yep.
We also like to announce we hit 500 followers on X. So
Woo!
Thanks everybody for doing that. We've only had X for about 4 months now. And 500 on YouTube on this channel right here. So thank you for that. We're at 522 followers total on X. Let's get to 1,000 on both. Why not that? So we know it was a long show. So thanks to the guys in the back from Cash, Jack, Peter, and myself, and Grant, who recorded early. This has been the Bison Overtime Show. Horns up and go Bison.
Woo!